I can't imagine why you'd ever want to run Microsoft Recall. To me, this just looks like more spyware from Microsoft.
Does your new computer come with built-in Microsoft spyware? Is Satya Nadella or Steve Ballmer or Bill Gates or all three looking over your shoulder every time you do something on your Copilot PC?
Landed on the term microslop, as in Microsoft shipping AI slop, like features nobody asked for, forced into spaces nobody wanted them, degrading the experience of an operating system that over 1 billion people depend on every single day. Now,
Microsoft is facing accusations serious enough to make its privacy and security teams very uncomfortable. And the feature sitting at the center of the controversy was introduced to the public as one of the most exciting innovations in the company's recent history. Critics are describing Recall as something that functions with the characteristics of spyware, a tool that transforms a personal computer into a continuously updated, fully searchable archive of everything its owner has ever done on it. The data being captured includes passwords, banking activity, private messages, work documents, and sensitive communications that users assumed were being viewed once and then forgotten. The question of who can extract that archive and under what conditions is where product controversy becomes something considerably more serious. When researchers repeatedly demonstrate methods for accessing that stored data, and Microsoft responds by describing the system as functioning as designed, the story has crossed a threshold that no amount of feature marketing can walk back across.
Microsoft's claim was that all of that's fine and that Recall is totally secure. Unfortunately, that held up for about as long as it took for someone to download the preview and then track down the folder that it was writing to, at which point the entire internet lost its collective mind over how absolutely not secure it actually was.
Microsoft unveiled Recall as the marquee AI capability for its Copilot PC lineup, pitching it to the public as a photographic memory for your personal computer. The concept was presented with genuine elegance. Your machine takes periodic screenshots of everything happening on screen. An AI system indexes the visual content, and you gain the ability to search through your entire computing history the way you might search through memories. The problem with that framing is what photographic memory actually means in practice. Banking pages captured mid-session, private conversations recorded before they disappear, legal documents, medical records, work emails, tax filings, and sensitive professional communications. All of it photographed and stored because it appeared on a screen while Recall was running. The feature does not distinguish between what a user considers private and what they consider routine. It simply records what is visible.
Messages.
It's basically browsing history on steroids for your entire computer, a feature that quite literally watches everything you do on your PC and feeds it to an AI so it can be regurgitated and queried at a later time.
Recall was not built with the capacity to evaluate the sensitivity of what it captures. It has no mechanism for identifying that a banking session carries different implications than a recipe search, or that a private message deserves different treatment than a public news article. The system operates on a single, straightforward principle. If it appears on the screen, it gets recorded. Medical diagnoses, legal correspondence, financial statements, confidential work materials, messages sent through platforms designed to delete them after viewing. All of it enters the archive on equal terms because the feature was never designed to make the distinctions that would prevent the most sensitive content from being stored alongside the most mundane. That absence of discrimination is not a minor design limitation. It is the central characteristic that transforms Recall from a convenience feature into something that privacy researchers treat as a threat.
Windows 11's AI-powered Recall feature, announced by Microsoft on Monday, has gotten attention from privacy advocates, including the Information Commissioner's Office, which is the UK's data protection watchdog. The agency says it's making inquiries into the feature, which takes screenshots every few seconds, giving Microsoft's Copilot assistant a literal photographic memory of the last 3 months of the user's recent activity by default.
When security researchers gained access to early Recall builds, the response across the community was swift and deeply concerned. The screenshots and associated metadata were being stored locally in an SQLite database that researchers described as having security protections inadequate for the sensitivity of what it contained. The architecture was characterized as dangerously accessible by people whose professional lives are spent evaluating exactly that kind of risk. Alexander Hagana built a proof-of-concept tool called Total Recall to demonstrate how the stored data could be extracted. and the demonstration was pointed enough to travel well beyond security research circles. The framing that emerged from the research community was vivid and stuck. Microsoft had assembled a comprehensive AI-indexed archive of a person's entire digital life and stored the initial version of it with the security equivalent of an unlocked filing cabinet placed in a publicly accessible lobby.
According to privacy advocates, if a malicious person does access the device, or if Microsoft changes their mind about storing this information locally, the recall feature could still pose a serious security risk, even with the guardrails Microsoft has provided. A user who is temporarily borrowing a device or using a public device might not be aware that recall is even enabled, accidentally exposing their information.
Kevin Beaumont, security researcher whose credentials include direct experience inside Microsoft's own threat intelligence operations, articulated the structural danger in terms that were precise enough to be difficult to dismiss. His argument was not about a specific vulnerability in Recall's implementation. It was about what Recall fundamentally does to the threat landscape for any attacker targeting a device it runs on. Without Recall, malware designed to harvest sensitive information has to navigate through individual applications, browser sessions, file directories, and encrypted storage containers spread across an entire system. The process is technically demanding and time-consuming. With Recall running, an attacker may find a single organized AI-indexed archive containing months of screen activity waiting to be accessed through one entry point. Beaumont's description of what this means for attackers was as efficient as it was alarming. Recall does their homework for them.
This time last year, Microsoft rushed Windows Recall into public testing, allowing AI PCs, whatever those are, to record, catalog, and even revisit all user interactions. You know, in case you forgot how to open up your browser history or scroll up in a chat window. And to say that that rollout went poorly would be a gross understatement.
The concern that followed the initial research findings did not remain confined to cybersecurity forums or technical communities. Privacy advocates raised formal objections. Enterprise IT administrators began evaluating the implications for organizations. Managing sensitive data across fleets of Copilot Plus devices, investigative journalists examined the feature's behavior and its implications for source protection. Regulatory bodies began paying attention. UK Information Commissioner's Office reportedly made inquiries into Recall before the feature had even completed its public launch. When a government data protection authority begins asking formal questions about a product before it reaches general availability, the concern has moved from technical discourse into institutional territory. And that transition carries consequences that product teams cannot manage through blog posts and feature update announcements.
Microsoft insists Copilot PCs are empowering the future. Reality disagrees. Latest marketing blitz for a solution seeking a problem and a killer app.